So the author of Hebrews, he lists all these champions of the faith, people like Moses and Abraham, other people like Gideon, David, and Samuel. And then after listing all these champions in chapter 11, he goes on to chapter 12, and he encourages us to cast aside the weight of sin. 12:1 reads, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with the endurance of the race set before us." One key phrase here is run with endurance, the race set before us. So if you think about that race, each individual person here, we all have our own individual race that we have to run. And the person sitting to your left or the right, their race might not look the same as your race. I have a friend who she runs these ultra marathons, and the most recent ultra marathon that she ran, it was the world's longest beach ultra marathon, and it was, I think, 144 miles in Brazil. And she actually podiumed during this race. Now her race, and this is the example of a physical race, her race doesn't look like mine. Where I've ran marathons, like just the 26.2 miles, and I was never a contention for being on the podium or winning one of these races. But she's actually ran several ultras and marathons, and she's won several of them as well. So her race looks drastically different than my race. And likewise, every person that's here, you've all been trained to do a specific thing. That's your race that you have to run. So we need to run with endurance. And when we're prepping for this race, we're not prepping for a sprint. We're prepping for a marathon, because that marathon, that 26.2 miles, that might be my race, but you might be called to do an ultra marathon, 100, 200, 1,000 miles plus. So we have to prepare ourselves for that endurance. We have to prepare ourselves for that enduring race, that marathon, that ultra, or whatever that looks like for our individual race. So going on, reading 12:2, it says, "Looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, for who the joy was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of God." So the biggest thing is we have to always keep our eyes focused on Jesus. So regardless of that race, which direction that race is taking us, to the left, to the right, north, south, east, west, always keep your eyes fixated on Jesus. And a good example I could think of is when Peter saw Jesus walking on the water. He said, "Lord, if that's you, call out to me and tell me to come out on the water." Jesus calls out to Peter, says, "Come out on the water, Peter." So Peter's walking on the water, and he's pursuing Jesus. And as soon as he takes his eyes off Jesus, he feels the fear, because he starts seeing the wind and the rain and the howl of the storm. And once he takes his eyes off of Jesus, that's when he starts sinking. So as we're running our own individual races, it's essential that we keep our eyes fixated on Jesus.